Welcome to Vrindavan, the playground of God. Vrindavan town is the central part of Rajamandala, the greater area in which Lord Kṛṣṇa performed his transcendental pastimes when he was present on this planet 5,000 years ago. Some of his earlier childhood leelas took place here, and as a result, over the years, devotees have established many temples and shrines to commemorate those activities and to glorify him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the Lord performed his pastimes here, many of the temples and deities were lost. But about 500 years ago, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all disciples and followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most recent incarnation of Lord Kṛṣṇa, was sent here by him to re-establish the lost holy places and find the deities which had been hidden or lost due to the influence of time. The 6 Goswamis and their followers established the 7 main temples of Vrindavan, Radha Madan Mohan, in which the deity was one of the original 5,000-year-old forms of the Lord, Radha Govinda, also one of the original deities, Radha Gopinath, another original deity, Radha Damodar, a more recent deity, carved by one of the 6 Goswamis, Srila Rupa Goswami, Radha Raman, worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Radha Gokulananda, worshipped by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Radha Shyam Sundar, worshipped by Baladev Vijayabhushan. Initially, we will visit these temples. Then we'll visit the Krishna Balaram temple, established by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, who took Krishna out of Vrindavan and around the world. After that, we'll visit so many of the main sacred places in Vrindavan town. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. In this regard, Srila Prabhupada says, so, to kill the demons, Krishna does not need to come. When he comes, he does so because he's requested by his devotees, like Vasudeva and Devaki. Therefore, the real cause of his coming is at the request of his devotees. But when he comes, he simultaneously shows that he's prepared to kill anyone who is envious of his devotees. Of course, his killing and maintaining are the same because he's absolute. Those who are killed by Krishna immediately attain salvation, which generally takes millions of years to get. So people may say that Krishna has come for this purpose or that purpose, but actually Krishna comes for the benefit of his devotees. He always looks after the welfare of the devotees, and so we should understand that we should always be concerned with how to become devotees. Srila Prabhupada has told us that the Lord has performed so many pastimes to attract our minds from this material world to Him, so we become inspired to become His devotees. He is very merciful to those who serve Him, and is waiting for us to turn to Him and take shelter of Him through bhakti or devotional service. Visiting these holy places is a very important part of the process. There are histories behind many of them, and in this DVD we have presented many of these. Please walk with us through the streets of this sacred town and take in the wonderful spiritual atmosphere that is pervading everything here.
Hare Krishna
The Madan Mohan temple is by the Parikrama path on the northern side of Vrindavan town. It was established in 1581 by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It is number 1 in the center of our map. After Lord Krishna's departure from this world, his great-grandson Vajranabh wanted to install deities in the main pastime places. The only person still living who had seen the Lord was Uttara, and when Madan Mohan, the first deity, was carved, she was called to confirm if it looked like him. She said, yes, it looks just like Krishna, up to the waist. This is that original 5,000-year-old deity of Madan Mohan. Along with Govinda and Gopinath, he was moved to Jaipur in 1670 by Maharaj Jai Singh, who was ruling there. A little later, though, at the request of Jai Singh's sister, who had married the king of the Karoli area, Madan Mohan was moved there, and since then he has been in Karoli town. This is the old Madan Mohan temple in Vrindavan town. One time Sanatana Goswami was doing Vrajmandal Parikrama in the Gokul Mahavan area when he saw a group of boys playing a ball game. One of the boys was particularly dark-skinned and beautiful, and Sanatana understood, this is Krishna. He followed the boy home to Mathura and saw that he was living as a member of a Brahmin family named Chobei. Srila Sanatana Goswami told the father, this is Krishna. You cannot have him run around outside getting dirty. You must put him on the altar and worship him. So Chobei had Madan Mohan stand on the altar and accept worship. However, that evening Madan Mohan appeared in Sanatana Goswami's dream and told him, it's so boring standing here on the altar. I want to come on parikrama with you. So the next morning Sanatana went back there and took Madan Mohan with him. Sanatana Goswami was an extreme renunciate and would hardly eat anything. He would beg for a short time every day. Often he would just get some wheat flour and he would mix it with Yamuna water, roll the dough into small balls and throw them directly into a fire. After a little while he would take out the blackened balls, break the crust off them and offer them to Madan Mohan. This very simple form of bread is known as bhati. One day at this place, Sanatana offered Madan Mohan bhati on its own, with no vegetables or rice or dal, and even no salt. Madan Mohan looked at the bhati and asked, can't I at least have some salt with the bhati? Sanatana told him, I knew you'd complain. I told you I'm a poor man, and you agreed to accept whatever I could offer. So if this isn't good enough for you, I'll take you back to the Chobeis. But Madan Mohan exclaimed, no, I'll take my bhati without salt, but I just want to come with you. These are the deities that are currently on the altar in the old temple. The Madan Mohan temple is situated on top of Dwadashaditya Til, or the hill of the 12 suns. It is said that after Lord Krishna subdued the Kaliya serpent and exiled him from Vrindavan, the Lord came on top of this hill to dry off and warm himself after his lengthy battle with the serpent. Surya, the sun god, wanted to serve Krishna very nicely, and understanding how cold and wet he was, Surya expanded himself into 12 suns and assisted the Lord to dry off and make himself comfortable. When the Muslims attacked Vraja, the old Madan Mohan temple was damaged, so the devotees in the line from Srila Sanatana Goswami's disciples then built a new temple, which is immediately next door to the old one. There are Pratibhu forms of Madan Mohan there. There's also a small Govardhan Shila, which was worshipped by Sanatana. Srila Sanatana Goswami left this world at Manasi Ganga at Govardhan Hill in 1558 on the Guru Purnima day, which normally falls around July. However, his transcendental body is buried here, behind the Madan Mohan temple. In the far left corner of the Samadhi grounds is the Granth Samadhi, or the Samadhi of the Scriptures, where Srila Jiva Goswami is said to have buried some of the works of the 6 Goswamis. Also in the grounds of his Samadhi are the Pushpa Samadhis of Lord Chaitanya's great associates, Tapan Mishra, the father of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Chandrasekhar Acharya. The Radha Govinda temple is in the center of current-day Vrindavan town. It was established under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami in 1590. It is number 2 on our map. After Uttara had seen Madan Mohan, Vajranabh had Govindadev carved. Uttara was again called and studied him very carefully. Yes, she said, his face is just like that of Sri Kṛṣṇa. As with so many deities, over the years Govinda was lost. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that Srila Rupa Goswami, after re-establishing many sacred places, still felt dissatisfied, as he knew that Govindaji was somewhere in Vrindavan, although he had been unable to find him. Rupa had scoured Braj Mandala so extensively that he had even searched many of the Brijbasis' houses, but still Govinda Dev was not to be found. One day, an extraordinarily attractive Brijbasi approached him and asked him why he looked so sad. Rupa told him his story, and the Brijbasi comforted him and told him of a hill in Vrindavan named 𝘗𝘠𝘳𝘠, on top of which a particular cow came every day and spontaneously released her milk. The Brijbasi took Rupa to 𝘗𝘠𝘳 and then suddenly vanished from sight. Rupa collapsed on the ground with tears pouring from his eyes and then fell unconscious. He later gathered some of the local people together, and they all dug on the top of the hill, finally uncovering Govinda. Along with him, they found a small deity of 𝘕𝑗𝑜𝑔, the child of Mother Yashoda, who 𝘚𝘶 tried to kill. Srila Rupa Goswami worshipped Govinda Dev personally for many years, but it was Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami who finally had a beautiful red sandstone temple built on 𝘗𝘠𝘳 by his disciple Maharaj Man Singh of Jaipur. And after 14 years of construction, he installed the Lord there. At the time, this was the biggest temple in northern India. Aurangzeb, the notorious Muslim despot, saw the light on top of the Govindaji temple when he was travelling to Agra one night, and became angered that this was apparently taller than any Muslim building at the time. He sent soldiers to tear it down, and they destroyed the domes comprising the top 4 levels of the building. Just before that, Govinda was moved to Jaipur. On the altar in the old temple today are a deity of Govinda in the center, 𝘗𝘠𝘳 on his sides, Jagannath immediately in front of him, and a special Govardhan Shila next to Jagannath on our right. On top of the Shila is said to be the footprint of Lord Kṛṣṇa from when he stepped on the rock while herding cows. Under the left wing of the old temple is the deity of Yoga Maya, found by Srila Rupa Goswami. She is one of the original 5,000-year-old deities of Vrindavan. We now go to Jaipur to have darshan of the original 5,000-year-old Govindaji. He is situated in the grounds of the city palace of the traditional Maharaj of Jaipur. He has a wonderful temple there and is visited every day by thousands of devotees. Practically the whole city of Jaipur is dedicated to Govindaji. Let us have darshan of him, indifferent of his daily clothes. Here he is at Mangal Arti. The local devotees regularly sing devotional songs for Govindaji's pleasure. After Uttara had darshan of Govindadev, Vajranabh had the third deity of Kṛṣṇa carved, Sri Gopinath. The Gopinath temple is number 3 on our map. When Uttara came and beheld his extraordinary form, she said, yes, his chest is just like Kṛṣṇa's. He is Kṛṣṇa, the master of the gopis, and therefore is considered the topmost form of the Lord. First, let us visit the original Gopinath in Jaipur. As with the other main deities, before the time of Lord Chaitanya, Gopinath was hidden to save him from the ravages of the Muslims. Madhu Pandit and his close friend, Paramananda Bhattacharya, both disciples of Sri Gadadhar Pandit of the Panchatattva, were wandering by the Yamuna in the Vangsivat area of Vrindavan, and found him in the sand there on the river bank. The description is given. Thus Sri Madhu Pandit became the servant of Sri Gopinath, whose bodily luster steals away the minds of everyone. Hundreds and thousands of people came running to see him, famed as he is as sweetness personified. When the soothing sweetness and coolness of his charming form entered their hearts through their eyes, they found that the burning fire of material existence, which had previously been burning there, was now extinguished. He is a most charming deity, and on either side of him are deities of Srimati Radharani, the one on our right bigger, and the one on our left smaller. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that when Mother Janava was in Vrindavan, Gopinath appeared to her in a dream and said he felt it was strange that Srimati Radharani should be so much smaller than him, and requested her to provide a larger deity of Radha. Srimati Radharani also appeared in Janava's dream and told her that she agreed with this, and that Janava should not hesitate but arrange a new deity immediately. She did this, but when the new deity arrived, the devotees became perplexed. The older deity of Srimati Radharani was very beautiful, so what should be done with her? In this way it was decided that both would stay on Gopinath's altar, and this is how we see things arranged today. On his left and right are deities of Srimati Radharani. In the courtyard of the Gopinath temple in Jaipur, on your right as you enter the main darshan area, is a glass case with a kurta hat and some counting beads of Madhu Pandit. Even though hundreds of years have passed since he was present, they're still existing, and one can have a very nice darshan of them. Now we're in the new Gopinath temple in Vrindavan town. The arrangement of deities there is a little unusual. Normally, Srimati Radharani is on our right as we look at the altar, but in the Gopinath temple in Vrindavan, Srimati Radharani is on our left, while her younger sister Ananga Manjari is on our right. Out of affection for her little sister, Srimati Radharani allows her to take this most privileged position so she can render service in the most intimate ways. When the original Gopinath deity was still present in Vrindavan, Mother Janava, the main wife of Lord Nityananda, visited. In Krishna Lila, Janava is a Nanga Manjari, and therefore Janava had a very strong attraction to Gopinath and would visit the temple regularly. It is said that one day, while she was having darshan of Gopinath, when the curtains were closed, she went in behind them. When the curtains were opened again, she was nowhere to be seen. In this way, Mother Janava concluded her pastimes in this world. Behind the Gopinath temple in Vrindavan town is the Samadhi of Madhu Pandit. Whereas Madan Mohan, Govinda and Gopinath are 5,000-year-old deities, Damodar is of much more recent origin. The temple is number 4 on our map. Sadhana Dipika, an important Gaudiya Vaishnav literature, explains that Srila Rupa Goswami was expert in many ways. He was an artist, he was an expert astrologer, and was fluent in Sanskrit, Bengali, Persian, and other languages. He could also carve deities. Understanding the desire of his dear nephew Jiva, Rupa Goswami carved Damodar and gave the deity to him as a present. This happened in 1542, but then, as with the other major deities, Damodar was taken to Jaipur by Maharaj Jai Singh in 1670. Radha Damodar with Lalita are on the center of the altar in Vrindavan. Pratibhu forms of Radha Vrindavan Chandra of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami are on our far left.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Pratibhu deities of Radha Madhava of Jayadev Goswami are on our right of Radha Damodar. And on our far right are Radha Chalchikan of Bhugabha Goswami. There's also a large Govardhan Shila, said to have been given to Srila Sanatana Goswami by Lord Kṛṣṇa when he became too old to do Govardhan Parikrama every day. This is the footprint of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Then, behind it is the footprint of one of Krishna's calves. Then above it is the mark of Krishna's lati, Krishna's stick for controlling the cows. Then above that is the mark, the impression of Lord Krishna's flute. We walk to the left of the altar and enter the Samadhi garden. There on our right is the Samadhi of Srila Jiva Goswami. As a great Acharya in our line, he wrote 400,000 verses, elucidating the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in minute detail. Coming around further, we find the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami. He is the Abhideya Acharya in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, describing elaborately the practice and cultivation of Krishna consciousness in many books, particularly Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada translated as Nectar of Devotion. Next to his Samadhi is the Samadhi of Bhugabha Goswami. He and Lokanath Goswami were the first devotees sent by Lord Chaitanya to start the work of uncovering the Vrindavan area, even before the 6 Goswamis came. Looking out into the courtyard of the Radha Damodar temple are the rooms of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He lived here from 1959 till he went to the Western world in 1965. In the room on the right he lived and wrote his Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam commentaries. In the beam was his Brijbasi safe, in which he would keep valuables. He would remove the stone and put things inside, and then close the beam again. In the room on the left, Srila Prabhupada would cook and take prasadam. In this famous photo, he's looking out the window to the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami, praying for empowerment to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Now we go to the Radha Damodar temple in Jaipur. It is not clear whether Radha Damodar in Vrindavan or in Jaipur is the actual original deity, but certainly they're both very beautiful. Radha Damodar here are the small deities on the lower step of the altar, while on the upper step are the larger Radha Vrindavan Chandra of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Damodar is very striking and exudes transcendental character.
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Radharaman is a very captivating deity. He was originally worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. His temple is number 5 on our map. Gopal Bhatta was worshipping 𝘚𝘁𝘃𝘓, but he maintained a desire to worship a traditional deity form of Lord Krishna, like his fellow Goswamis Rupa and Sanatan, who were worshipping Govinda and Madan Mohan, respectively. One day an affluent devotee visited Vrindavan and met Gopal. He offered that he would provide all types of clothing and ornaments for Gopal's personal deity, not knowing that he was worshipping Shīlas. Gopal politely refused the man. It was the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev, and that night Gopal Bhatta was strongly desiring to have a regular deity to worship with beautiful paraphernalia as the devotee had been offering. The idea came to him, "My Lord, when you appeared as Lord Nrsimhadev, you came out of a stone pillar, so why can't you manifest yourself from one of these sacred stones? Please be kind and do so." When he woke the next morning, his Damodar Shalagram Shila had transformed into the deity Radharaman. Gopal Bhatta had been desiring to worship a deity who was something like a combined form of Madan Mohan, Gopinath and Govinda. And as he inspected the astonishingly attractive form of his new deity, he noticed he has the feet of Madan Mohan, the face of Govinda, and the chest of Gopinath. One notices that on the altar Srimati Radharani is missing, although her clothing and paraphernalia is present to our right of Krishna. Actually, she is there, although one needs transcendental eyes to see her. Radharaman has a very bold stance. His chest is thrust forward, transcendentally showing off his features, and his body does not show signs of having been carved. He even has very personal features, such as small teeth and fingernails. Next to the Radharaman temple is a shrine at the place where that Damodar Shila transformed into the deity. Just behind that shrine is the Samadhi of Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Rama Rama Hare Hare.
The elderly devotee in charge at the Samadhi, Ghanshyam Das, taps everyone on the head with the walking stick of Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
We move about 150 meters down to the left from Radharaman and come to the Radha Gokulananda temple, which was established by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It is number 6 on our map. On the altar we find, on the top level on our left, a deity of Lord Chaitanya who was worshipped by Narottam Das Thakur. In the middle are Pratibhu, or replacement deities of Radha Vinod, worshipped by Lokanath Goswami. Then on the right a Radha Vijay Govinda worshipped by Baladev Vidyabhushan. On the lower level is little Gokulananda and Lord Chaitanya's Govardhan Shila. The original Radha Vinod are now in Jaipur, and we'll go there and have darshan of them shortly. Gokulananda is a very small deity of Kṛṣṇa on his own. Of course, wherever he is, undoubtedly Srimati Radharani is there also, but for those who don't have transcendental vision, she is unmanifest. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur installed him personally and worshipped him for some time in the same place where he's being worshipped now in Vrindavan town. Lord Chaitanya's Govardhan Shila is very fascinating. The Lord would put the Shila to his heart, or sometimes to his eyes. Sometimes he would smell it with his nose, and sometimes place it on his head. It was always moist with tears from his eyes. To the left of the main temple is the Samadhi garden, where a number of very prominent Vaishnavas have been buried. The main Samadhi is that of Lokanath Goswami, who, along with Bhugabha Goswami, was the first devotee to be sent to Vrindavan by Lord Chaitanya to start the work of uncovering all the lost holy places. Here we see the Samadhi of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, the great Gaudiya Vaishnava poet and only disciple of Lokanath. He approached Lokanath for initiation, but was refused. So he then secretly served him for a year, cleaning up for him and even removing his stool every morning. Finally, Lokanath agreed to accept him. Next to Narottam's Samadhi is that of Ganganarayan Chakravarti, Narottam's foremost disciple. In the corner to the left of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's Samadhi is the Samadhi of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Now we go to Jaipur to have darshan of the original Radha Vinod, personally worshipped by Lokanath Goswami. Bhakti Ratnakara describes that when Lokanath was in Umarao, Lord Chaitanya appeared before him disguised as a village boy carrying a deity of Kṛṣṇa. He put the deity in Lokanath's hands and immediately vanished. The deity said to Lokanath, "I've been staying in a forest in this village, Umarao. I could understand that you were not satisfied, so I have come to you. Now, please feed me." Lokanath was overwhelmed and simply stood there with tears flowing from his eyes. He prepared some food for Kṛṣṇa and offered it to him. He named the deity Radha Vinod. Lokanath Goswami made a small bag for a temple for Radha Vinod and would carry him wherever he went. The bag would always emanate a transcendental light, and when Lokanath would move around, he would keep his hand in the bag and massage the body of the Lord while chanting japa. The last of the 7 main temples that we'll visit is Radhashyam Sundar, established by Shyamananda Pandit. It is number 7 on our map and is less than 50 meters from Loy Bazaar, on the left, on the way to the Radha Damodar temple. The main deities in one sense are the small deities known as Lala Lali, or little boy and little girl, to our right of the main deities. The deity of Kṛṣṇa was given to Shyamananda Pandit by Srimati Radharani herself. The larger deities were installed by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan later on. On the walls is a series of paintings depicting scenes from the life and activities of Shyamananda. He was an initiated disciple of Hriday Chaitanya, a close associate of Lord Chaitanya. Hriday Chaitanya sent Shyamananda to Vrindavan to learn the intricacies of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. First he went to Radhakund, where he offered obeisances to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He then went to Vrindavan town and met Srila Jiva Goswami and entered his school. Already Srinivas Acharya and Narottam Das Thakur were studying there, and the three of them became very close friends. Once, while cleaning in the groves around Sevakunj, Shyamananda came across an extremely opulent-looking anklet, and he wondered who could have left such a valuable piece of jewelry here. A woman who was actually Lalita, Srimati Radharani's closest girlfriend, then approached Shyamananda and told him that her daughter-in-law had lost an anklet and asked for it. However, Shyamananda told her, "I'll certainly see that your daughter-in-law gets her anklet back, but I will give it to her myself." Lalita then revealed herself and dipped Shyamananda in Lalita Kund in Seva Kunj, and he came out in a gopi form as Kanaka Manjari. Lalita took Kanaka to Srimati Radharani, and there she placed the anklet on Radharani's leg. However, as Kanaka Manjari was doing this, Srimati Radharani took the anklet and pressed it firmly against Kanaka's forehead, making quite a deep impression there. Then Radharani gave Kanaka the small Krishna deity. We now come to the Krishna Balaram Temple of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in Ramanreti on the western side of Vrindavan town. It is number 8 on our map. This temple is one of the most popular in all of Vrindavan and is visited by thousands of people every day. It was opened on Ram Navami in 1975 by the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. By the main entrance is Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi. He left this world in November 1977 here at the Krishna Balaram Temple, and his transcendental body is now buried in this place. Let us go in and have his darshan. Prabhupada appeared in this world in Calcutta on the day immediately after Krishna Janmashtami in 1896 and met his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in 1922. On their first meeting, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta instructed him, "You're an educated young man. Why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message throughout the whole world?" Srila Prabhupada took this to heart, but it was only some time later, in 1965, that he was able to do it. Then he sailed to America and began his International Society for Krishna Consciousness in New York. Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times, initiated 5,000 disciples, and now Hare Krishna is known in practically every city in the world. We now go into the main temple to have darshan of the deities. Everyone is waiting impatiently for the curtains to open. On the main central altar, we find Lord Krishna and his elder brother, Lord Balaram. On the right altar, we find Radhasham Sundar, the epitome of spiritual sweetness. Then on our left altar are 𝘗𝘠𝘳𝘁, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, the most recent incarnations of Kṛṣṇa and Balaram, who appeared in this world a little over 500 years ago to establish the Yuga Dharma, or recommend a religious activity for this age, the chanting of the holy names. Srila Prabhupada is also here in the main temple room, having darshan of the deities. We now go behind the temple to Srila Prabhupada's house, where he would stay when he was in Vrindavan. Here he would meet guests, translate books, and write his Bhaktivedanta purports. The house is now a museum dedicated to him. In the various display cases, we find different of his paraphernalia. These are some of his original books from before he went to the West. This was his personal harmonium. This was his dictaphone and other items he used in his translating work. These are different medications he used. We're now going to visit the ISKCON Goshala on the right of our map. It is about 1 kilometer from the Kṛṣṇa Balaram temple, and here we find a large number of cows, calves, oxen and bulls living very peacefully and happily. All the milk for the deities in the temple comes from here, and there's also a nice 𝘚𝘶𝘳𝘓 garden from which all the 𝘚𝘶𝘓 for the deities comes. There is one famous prayer, Namo Brahmanya-devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagathitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Absolute Truth, Kṛṣṇa, who is the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmins, as well as the living entities in general. I offer my repeated obeisances to Govinda, who is the pleasure reservoir for all the senses. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would make the point that of the two, the Brahmins and the cows, Lord Kṛṣṇa is more inclined to the cows, and therefore without cow protection, it is not possible to get the Lord's mercy.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
The Kṛṣṇa Balaram tree is right next to the Parikrama path, which is marked in white on our map. The tree is number 9. The Kṛṣṇa Balaram tree was actually 2 trees which had grown intertwined with each other. The black tree represents Kṛṣṇa and the white tree Balaram, although unfortunately in recent years the white tree has died. In the Brijbasi dialect, the black tree is known as chokra, and in Sanskrit as Sami Vriksha. Its wood has the mystical quality of producing fire when pieces are rubbed together, and therefore has traditionally been used in the process of fire sacrifice. The beans from the tree are sweet and edible, and are sometimes referred to as Vraja chocolate. The white tree was a peepal tree, which is famous as a sacred banyan tree, known in Sanskrit as Ashvat. The Varaha temple in Ghat are numbers 10 and 12 on our map. They're some distance from the Yamuna. Number 11 is Gautama Rishi's ashram. One might wonder why this place, so far from the Yamuna, is referred to as a ghat or bathing place. But up till about 50 years ago, the Yamuna flowed here until it was dammed further upstream. In the course of his pastimes with the gopis, Lord Kṛṣṇa once manifested the form of Varaha here, as the boar incarnation who killed the demon Hiranyaksha, the brother of Hiranyakashipu. In the temple here are Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman in the center, and on the right is a very nice deity of Lord Varaha, holding the earth planet on his nose.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Mohantir Ghat is number 13 on our map. When Kṛṣṇa was dancing with the gopis in the rasa dance at this place, Cupid tried to fire his arrows to agitate the Lord. But each time he would try to aim, Cupid would see how beautiful Kṛṣṇa was, until finally he became overwhelmed and fainted, dropping his famous bow and arrows. Therefore Kṛṣṇa is known as Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid. We move on to the east until we reach Kaliya Ghat, where the famous pastime of Lord Kṛṣṇa subduing the Kaliya serpent took place. It is number 14 on our map. At the time, the Yamuna flowed right past this place, and there was a lake here in which Kaliya was living, which was highly poisonous due to his venom. The same Kadamba tree was growing here at that time, and Kṛṣṇa climbed out onto this branch, tightened his belt as wrestlers do when they're preparing to fight, slapped his arms against his sides, making a funny squelching sound, and then jumped into the waters of the Yamuna. When Kṛṣṇa landed in the river, he made such an impact that a tsunami was created, which swept across the river and smashed into the face of Kaliya, who was perhaps a kilometer away. Kaliya had heard the splashing sound as Kṛṣṇa landed in the water and was wondering, who is the rascal who's jumping into my river? They met in the middle of the lake, and immediately Kaliya grabbed the Lord in his coils, and Kṛṣṇa stayed there for some hours, apparently unable to defeat him. All the Brijbasis gathered on the banks, overwhelmed seeing Kṛṣṇa in the grips of the demon, until the Lord broke himself free and then danced on the hoods of Kaliya until the serpent surrendered to him. Near the tree is the small informal temple in which we find a deity of Lord Kṛṣṇa dancing happily on the hoods of Kaliya. When the demon surrendered to him, Kṛṣṇa accepted him as a devotee, But because of the serpent's terrible offenses against the Yamuna and the devotees, the Lord banished him from Vrindavan forever. It just shows that we should never offend Vaishnavas.
Hari Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hari Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Immediately behind 𝘚𝘰𝘳𝘵 is the samadhi of the great devotee Prabodhananda Saraswati, who was the uncle of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami of the 6 Goswamis. It is number 15 on our map. He wrote Vrindavan Mahim Amrita, a long and beautiful glorification of Vraja and the value of staying there. In it he says, I am not strong enough to go to the far shore of the great nectar ocean of Vrindavan's glories. Who can go there? However, because I love Vrindavan, I will now dip into that ocean. I pray that this endeavor may become successful and bring an auspicious result. Day and night, I glorify Vrindavan, which is filled with the wonder of Sri Radha and Krishna's pastimes, the wonder of the greatest sweetness, the ultimate nectar of Lord Hari, the sweetest, most beautiful auspiciousness, and a flood of virtues, Ananta-Shesh, Shiva, and a host of others cannot cross. On the back wall of the Samadhi building is this painting of Prabodhananda meeting Lord Chaitanya. We now walk from 𝘚𝘰𝘳𝘵 across Vrindavan town, past the Fogla ashram to 𝘚𝘰𝘪 𝘗𝘠, which is connected with the Kaliya pastime. It is number 16 on our map. Sometimes it has water in it, but often it is dry, as it is today. The word 𝘚𝘰𝘪 means extinguishing a fire. After Lord Kṛṣṇa had subdued the Kaliya serpent, he and the Brijbasis came here in the late afternoon to take rest, rather than go all the way home the same day. Some were feeling drained after that very dramatic pastime, while others were feeling so many ecstatic symptoms, like crying, shivering of the body, and fainting, that they felt they might lose control of themselves on the journey back. In the middle of the night, when everyone was resting, a great forest fire broke out and surrounded their camp. Everyone called out, "Kṛṣṇa, help! Save our lives!" When the Brijbasis appealed to Kṛṣṇa like this, he turned his back on everyone and swallowed the forest fire as if it were a drink. Therefore it is known as 𝘚𝘰𝘪 𝘗𝘠. Vishram Kund means the Kund where they took rest. It is off the road leading from Fogla ashram towards 𝘚𝘰𝘪 𝘗𝘠, set back some distance inside the grounds of an old ashram. It is number 17 on our map. After Kṛṣṇa swallowed the forest fire, everyone was too excited to sleep for some time, so they thought that they would start for home. However, after they'd moved a short distance from 𝘚𝘰𝘪 𝘗𝘠, they realized how tired they were, so they decided to take rest again at this nearby 𝘗𝑠. The Jaipur temple is a very grand building, constructed in 1917 by the King of Jaipur, Sawai Madhav Singh, who also built the Jaipur temple at Varshana. It is across from Davanala Kund and is number 18 on our map. It is a big temple and is very nicely presented with beautiful stone and marble work. On the main altar we find Radha Madhava with the Astasakis. On the next altar is 𝘚𝘂𝘶𝑉𝑎𝑔𝑜𝑝𝑎L, the swan incarnation of the Lord. To our left of him are the 4 Kamas, and on our right the black deity is Nimbarkacharya. On the third altar is Radha Ananda Bihari. If one crosses the main road in front of the Jaipur temple and follows the road on the other side, one comes to the Taras temple, known as such because of its connection with the Tara area of India. It is number 19 on our map. It is a very unusual temple, said to have quite an extraordinary history behind it. Briefly, in the late 19th century, the ruler of that state came to Vrindavan to pray to the Lord here for a child. He appealed to a deity known as Radha Madhava. Please come to my kingdom and give me your mercy. The deity came with him to Tara, but without Srimati Radharani. After some time, the king and his queen gave birth to a daughter who they named Vinodini. It is a long story, but after some time it became revealed that actually Vinodini was Srimati Radharani, and she took her place on the altar with the Lord. The king's father was a smoker of hookah pipes, and he adopted the very extraordinary practice of offering such a pipe to Kṛṣṇa regularly. And to this day, the pujaris in this temple offer such a pipe to the Lord daily. We now cross back through Vrindavan town to the Kaliyaghat area again, where our next stop will be the old Kalyamardana temple, connected with Krishna's subduing the snake demon. It is just above the northern side of the Parikrama path and is number 20 on our map. It's a quiet place, not visited by many people, so we make our way up from the road and go in through the doors on the side. In this temple is a nice deity of Radharani and Kṛṣṇa dancing on Kaliya's heads. There at the bottom, and 2 heads of the serpent are above them. This is said to be one of the original 5,000-year-old deities of Vrindavan. Gopal Ghat, Praskandana Ghat and Surya Ghat cover some of the area from between Kaliyaghat and the old Madan Mohan temple, and then around to the eastern side of Madan Mohan. Their numbers 21, 22 and 23 on our map. When Lord Kṛṣṇa had subdued the serpent Kaliya, his father Nanda Maharaj was so overwhelmed with loving ecstasy, he gave many cows away in charity at Gopal Ghat. Praskandana Ghat is at the bottom of the hill on the western side of Madan Mohan, beneath Dwadash Aditya Til. It is said that when Kṛṣṇa was being warmed and dried by the 12 forms of the sun, he became hot and started perspiring, and his perspiration ran down the side of the hill, forming a small lake immediately beneath it. We walk down the hill from the Madan Mohan temple and then turn right at the T junction. In front of us is Advaita Vat, the place of 𝘚𝘰𝘳𝘥 in Vrindavan. On our map, it is number 24. 𝘚𝘰𝘳𝘥 came and spent some time here and would sit under a banyan or vat tree here. It is said that he was approached by local ladies one morning who told him of the whereabouts of a deity, and following their directions, he managed to locate 𝘠𝑚𝑑𝑛 Mohan, or 𝘠𝑚𝑑𝑛 Gopal, as the deity was known then. He worshipped him for some time, and when he was leaving, he entrusted the worship of the deity to 𝘂𝘁𝑚, the Mathura Brahmin, who Srila Sanatana Goswami received him from. We turn left when leaving 𝘓𝑚𝑑𝑣𝑡 and walk a short distance up the slope. We then take the first road to the right and we arrive at the main entrance of the new Astasakhi temple. It is number 25 on our map. The temple used to be a small building on top of the hill next to 𝘠𝑃𝑑𝑖𝑦𝑎, which was built by a Bengali king around the end of the 19th century. However, recently its new owners, some devotees from Bombay, have replaced it with a large, opulent, two-storied building with very nice facilities and new deities. Banki Bihari is a deity of Kṛṣṇa on his own, who was discovered in Nidhuvan on the eastern side of Vrindavan town by Swami Haridas, a contemporary of the 6 Goswamis. The temple is number 26 on our map. Haridas would keep Banki Bihari in his hut and from time to time go out to do madhukari or beg for food. Banki Bihari would become anxious when Haridas would leave him and would sometimes run out of the hut and try to locate him, so Haridas was forced to stay in the hut practically the whole time. Today the pujaris are afraid that if Banki Bihari gets the opportunity, he may go running out of the temple looking for Haridas again, so they don't leave the curtains open for more than a minute or so at a time. To reach the Radha Vallabha temple, one turns right from Banki Bihari and then left at a T-junction about 150 meters away. Then one walks another 150 meters and comes to the temple entrance on the right. It is number 27 on our map. Radha Vallabha is another popular deity of Vrindavan and was initially worshipped by Harivansa, regarded within the Gaudiya tradition as being a disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. However, apparently he said he had been initiated by Srimati Radharani herself. He established his own line, known as the Radha Vallabha line, in which devotion to Srimati Radharani is emphasized over service to Kṛṣṇa. Radha Vallabha is a very beautiful deity and is Kṛṣṇa standing on his own. Srimati Radharani is not manifest to our vision, but her clothes and other paraphernalia are kept next to Kṛṣṇa for her. To reach the Nrsingadev temple, one walks back from Radha Vallabha to the crossroads and turns left. Then one takes the first major road to the left and walks about 100 meters up there. The temple is on the left and is number 28 on our map. This is the largest deity of Lord Nrsingadev in Vrindavan town. He is made of wood and on our right side of him is Lakshmi Devi, and on our left is Prahlad Maharaj. This temple is connected with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. The deities are said to have been installed by 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘆 Bhatta Goswami, one of Raghunath Bhatta's main disciples. It is number 29 on our map. The deities are known as Radha, Madan, Mohan, and they are worshipped very nicely. Across the temple courtyard from the deities is the Srimad Bhagavatam of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. It is open for public darshan only once a year, on the disappearance day of Raghunath Bhatta, a few days before the beginning of the month of Kartik every year. These old ghats are no longer really manifest to our vision, but their positions are indicated here on our map by numbers 30, 31 and 32. The name 𝘈𝘰𝘳𝘆 means tamarind tree, and it is connected with both Lord Kṛṣṇa and Lord Chaitanya. It is number 33 on our map. 5,000 years ago, during the Rasadans, Kṛṣṇa sat under this tree when he was separated from Srimati Radharani, and he chanted, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. As he became more and more absorbed in remembering her and calling for her, he slowly turned a golden color, just like her, and began to experience emotional feelings, just like hers. The original tamarind tree has recently passed away, but before it died, the devotees here took a branch from it and planted it at the feet of the old tree. The newer tree is now growing strongly, while the body of the old tree is still standing there. 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya regularly came to the same place, and the same tree was still there. He would sit under it, and in the mood of Srimati Radharani, feeling great separation from Kṛṣṇa, begin to chant Hare Krishna. As he chanted, his golden body changed color until he was the same blackish color of Lord Shyam. Seva-kunj and Kishori-kunj are essentially one, but somehow a wall has been placed through the middle to separate them. They are the garden area to the left of center in our map and are numbered 34. Seva-kunj is entered from the eastern side, near 𝘈𝘰𝘳𝘆. It is understood to be the central part of the place where the rasa dance happened, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Here, Lord Kṛṣṇa rendered some intimate service to Srimati Radharani by massaging and decorating her legs and her lotus feet when she became fatigued during the course of the rasa dance pastime. There is a small temple on the far side of 𝘒𝘳𝘃 named Ranga Mahal, where this is said to have happened, and on the altar there is this nice picture of the pastime showing Kṛṣṇa massaging Srimati Radharani's right knee. 𝘕𝑠₄ is entered from Loy Bazaar, near the post office and Hera Jewelers. It is much smaller than 𝘒𝘳𝘃 and is not visited very much at all. It's a pleasant place to chant Hare Krishna and remember the pastimes of the divine couple. When one comes out of 𝘒𝘳𝘃, one turns right and walks just a few meters to the temple of Srimati Purnamasi Devi. She is Yoga Maya in the pastimes of Radharani and Lord Kṛṣṇa. Her temple is number 35 on our map. Here, Purnamasi is stationed right on the edge of 𝘒𝘳𝘃, so she's in the ideal position to assist Radha and Kṛṣṇa in their rasa dance pastimes. By her potency, all the different events in their pastimes occur, and she arranges for different people to do different things at different times, all to heighten the ecstasy of the Leelas. Right next door is the Sitanath temple of Advaitāracārya and his wife Sita Devi. They are the bigger deities on the right of the altar. Close to the intersection of the Banki Bihari Bazaar Road and the road into Loy Bazaar is the temple of the Gauratai deities of Murari Gupta, one of Lord Chaitanya's closest associates in Navadvip. It is number 36 on our map and is just below 𝘒𝘳𝘃. It is said that Murari Gupta personally carved these neem-wood Gauratai deities and worshipped them for many years in Sri Mayapur Dham. He was an incarnation of Hanuman and naturally had a very deep relationship with Lord Ram, which is referred to in depth in the chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat dealing with the Mahaprakash Leela. His Gauratai deities reflect his connection with Lord Ram as they are standing with their hands in the mudras of Ram and Lakshman holding bows and arrows. The deities were brought to Sri Vrindavan Dham by a lady named 𝘚𝘶𝘱𝘳𝘃 𝘗𝘠𝘓𝑚 about 100 years ago. 𝘚𝘶𝘱𝘳𝘃 became known as Pashima or aunt because of their very intimate relationship with Sri Sri Gauratai, worshipping them as small children in the same temple up till she was 100 years old. At the intersection on the road to Loy Bazaar, very close to the deities of Murari Gupta, is the temple of Bankandi Mahadev, a famous Shiva Linga in Vrindavan. It is number 37 on our map. Bankandi means one who lives in the forest. It is said that Srila Sanatana Goswami, while living in Vrindavan town at Dwadasha Til, would daily walk from there to the Gopeshwar Shiva temple some kilometers away. This was very difficult for Sanatan in his older age, and one night Gopeshwar appeared in his dream and told him, "You don't have to walk so far every day. I've now manifested myself closer to you in the form of Bankandi Mahadev." From that day on, Sanatan would take his darshan at this place. To see Bankandi Mahadev, one goes into the temple and turns to the right. Nearer to the entrance, one finds a number of Shiva lingas. As with so many ghats around Vrindavan town, this is no longer clearly visible, but it is the place of a nice pastime of Srimati Radharani and Lord Kṛṣṇa. It means the ghat of the blind person and is number 38 on our map. Radharani and the gopis came here once and began a game of hide and seek with Kṛṣṇa. First, a gopi covered her eyes, while Kṛṣṇa, Radharani and the others hid in the forest, and then the gopi had to locate them among the trees. She managed to do that quite quickly. Eventually, Radharani covered Kṛṣṇa's eyes, and he searched for the gopis, but was unable to find them. So finally they emerged from their hiding places, laughing very sweetly. The Shalagram temple is situated on the road that runs down from Loy Bazaar past the Radhashyam Sundar temple towards Radha Damodar. It is on the right, just before the entrance to Radhashyam Sundar, and is number 39 on our map. On the main altar are nice deities of Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman, who are worshipped very beautifully. However, the temple is not named after Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman, but after two outstanding, very large Shalagram Shilas, which are sitting beneath the deities on the lower level of the altar. They must be amongst the biggest Shilas in the world. Earlier, we were at the Radhashyam Sundar temple, and we told the story of how Radharani pressed her anklet against the forehead of Shyamananda and gave him a deity of Kṛṣṇa. The place this happened is just down the street from the Shalagram temple, and it is number 40 on our map. When Radharani pressed her anklet against the forehead of Shyamananda, it left a permanent impression on his forehead, which became accepted as his tilak. In between the conch shell and the chakra here, we see the shape of the tilak, which is still used today by the members of his line. Right next to the tilak stan is Shyamananda's samadhi, where his transcendental body is buried.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
This temple is about 150 meters further down the road from the Radha Damodar temple and is run by devotees said to be in the family line from Lord Nityananda. It is number 41 on our map. We go up onto the raised area in front of the main altar. There we have darshan of 𝘗𝘠𝑦 and Radha Kṛṣṇa. Beneath them are unusual-looking Jagannath deities. On our right are these very old deities of Lakshmi Narayan. Behind the main altar and to the right, the devotees here keep this banner, which is said to have been personally used by Lord Nityananda himself when he went on Harinam. The Lord would move around the Vrindavan area, relishing the nectar of the holy names in the company of the local devotees. To the right, there is a shrine in which there's a picture of a famous pastime of Radha and Krishna. Radharani was decorating herself secretly before meeting the Lord, but Krishna sneaked up behind her and started decorating her hair. She thought it was one of her maidservants, but when she looked in her mirror, she saw it was her beloved Shyam. Because of this pastime, this place is called Sringaravat, or the banyan tree, where the decoration was done. In the courtyard, there is the stump of an old banyan tree, with a newer tree growing behind it. When Lord Nityananda visited Vrindavan, he stayed here under the older tree, and therefore this place is also known as Nityananda Vat. Just before the old tree died, the devotees took a branch from it and planted it next to it, and the branch has now grown into a full-size tree. Very near Sringaravat is Jaru Mandala, where there's an old tree which marks the place where Lord Krishna left Srimati Radharani during the Rasa dance pastime. It is number 42 on our map. It is said that many years ago there was an old lady living here who would daily sweep the area with her broom or jaru. While she would do this, she would grind grains using a stone grinding mortar. One day Krishna appeared and put his foot on the mortar to stop it, as the noise was disturbing devotees who had come there to recount pastimes. Even today, we can still see the impression of the Lord's footprint on the mortar. The Mirabai temple is situated on the road that runs to the right, about 100 meters past Radha Damodar. If you walk along this road, you find the temple on the right, just before the end. It is number 43 on our map. Mirabai is a famous female saint of India, and she spent some time in Vrindavan. She was born as a princess around 1500 in Rajasthan, and when she was 3, she was given a deity of Krishna. As she grew up, she became so attached to the Lord that she decided to make him her lifelong friend, lover, and husband. On the altar, we see Radha Krishna deities, and on our left, with kartals, is Mirabai. The friendly Pujari here explained to us that once Mirabai's wicked father-in-law put a cobra in a basket of flowers she was going to use in the Lord's service. But when Mirabai put her hand in and touched the snake, he was transformed into a shalagram Shila. This is said to be that Shila. Shaji is a very palatial temple which was built by a jeweler named Kundan Lal from Lucknow with the intention that Radha Raman would move here. It is number 44 on our map. We come in from the street through this large gateway and then see the impressive exterior of the temple. Among other things, it has 12 magnificent pillars on the sides of the entrance, each one carved out of a single piece of marble. Certainly it would have been suitable for Radha Raman, but he had other ideas and refused to come. Another set of deities were then installed here, which are known as Chota Radha Raman, or Small Radha Raman. Govinda Ghat is near the Yamuna, just past Jarumandala. It is number 45 on our map. It is said that Srimati Radharani once became jealous, seeing Krishna dancing with other gopis, and left the rasa dance for some time. Lord Krishna came here and pacified sulky Srimati Radharani with his sweet dealings, and therefore it is called Govinda Ghat, or the Ghat where the Lord satisfied his beloved. Here we find an old temple of Krishna and Balaram. We walk around to the side of the building and then go in to have their darshan. On the altar, we find deities of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda in the back, and in front of them, nice deities of Krishna and Balaram. Lord Krishna is happily playing his flute, and Lord Balaram is churning a pot of yogurt to make butter. When one is walking along the northern side of Vrindavan, one comes to the 𝘚𝘳𝘪 Gauranga or 𝘚𝘳𝘪 Mahaprabhu temple. This deity was worshipped by Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, a great acharya in our sampradaya. It is number 46 on our map. 𝘚𝘳𝘪 Mahaprabhu is Lord Chaitanya manifesting his features as Lord Krishna and Lord Ramachandra. Therefore we see on the altar here that the deity of Lord Chaitanya has his two arms holding his sannyas danda and kamandalu or water pot. Then also the two arms of Krishna holding the flute, and also the two arms of Lord Ramachandra holding his bow and arrow. When one walks on past Radha Gokulananda, one comes to the Vangsi Gopal temple on the corner. Srila Prabhupada lived here from 1956 to 1962 before he moved to Radha Damodar. It is number 47 on our map. It is a privately owned building, and the rooms that Srila Prabhupada used have long been rented out to other tenants, so one is usually not able to go in to see where he lived. Another 50 or so meters down the road is the Gadadhar Dant Samadhi, or the Samadhi of a tooth of Sri Gadadhar Pandit of the Panchatattva. After he left this world, one of his disciples brought a tooth of his here, and it was interred in the ground in this place, to the right of the main entrance. When the Emperor Akbar visited Vrindavan in 1570, he gave permission for the construction of 4 temples: Madan Mohan, Govindaji, Gopinath, and Yugalakishore. The Yugalakishore temple was opened in 1627. It is number 48 on our map. When the Muslim despot Aurangzeb attacked Vrindavan in 1670, the temple was damaged. And since that time, there's been no worship performed here, and it remains closed all the time. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described that Lord Krishna once stole the clothes of the gopis and took them to the top of a nearby Kadamba tree. Actually, this pastime took place some kilometers north of here, but some think this is the site of this Leela. It is number 49 on our map. To commemorate this pastime, devotees hang cloth from the branches of this 𝘚𝘰𝘳𝘴𝘠 tree. There is also a deity here of Lord Kṛṣṇa, calling the gopis to come and get their clothes. Previously, this was a beautiful garden area where Srimati Radharani and Lord Kṛṣṇa would meet, and the bees, or Brahmara, would become maddened by the fragrance of the Lord's body. It is number 50 on our map, in the middle between 𝘕𝘳𝘅 and 𝘗𝘰𝘅. The Yamuna flows right past 𝘗𝘰𝘅. It is here that Lord Kṛṣṇa killed the 𝘗𝘰 demon, who came in the form of a gigantic wild horse, terrorizing the inhabitants of Vrindavan. It is number 51 on our map. Devotees come here every day to perform different ceremonies and religious activities. When Kṛṣṇa confronted the demon, 𝘗𝘰 rushed at him and tried to trample him, but the Lord caught hold of his legs and stopped him. Then he threw 𝘗𝘰 100 meters, like Garuda throws a snake. 𝘗𝘰 passed out, but then regained consciousness. He attacked Kṛṣṇa again with his mouth wide open. Kṛṣṇa pushed his left hand into the demon's mouth, which felt like a hot iron rod to the demon. Kṛṣṇa's hand inflated in his mouth, and 𝘗𝘰 began to suffocate. He started perspiring and throwing his legs around. Then, as he died, his eyeballs bulged, and he passed stool and urine simultaneously. When he was dead, his mouth loosened, and Kṛṣṇa was able to pull his hand out easily. Here, a group of ISKCON devotees gather to perform the last rites for relatives and friends who have recently passed away. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, north of Vangsivat is Nidhuvan, the name of which attracts the ears and heart. Delighting his beloved, here Sri Kṛṣṇa disappeared from the company of the gopis, eager to enjoy the rasa dance. It is number 52 on our map. Nidhuvan means a place of loving pastimes. It is a little bigger than Seva Kunj, and there are a number of sacred places here. The small building with the white roof at the back is Ranga Mahal, where sometimes Radha and Kṛṣṇa take rest after becoming fatigued in the course of dancing. On the other side is the Samadhi of Swami Haridas, who worshipped Banki Bihari. He lived here in Nidhuvan for many years. Near to Ranga Mahal is the place where Haridas located Banki Bihari. we go over to Rangamahal. The devotees have provided a comfortable bed and all types of perfumes and other paraphernalia for the divine couple to use in their transcendental pastimes. Near Haridas's Samadhi is a small shrine dedicated to a pastime in which Srimati Radharani stole Lord Krishna's flute from him. Krishna lamented, crying loudly and complaining about the theft, and then Srimati Radharani returned the flute to him. The Sriji temple is one of the main Nimbaka temples in the Vrindavan area. It is a large, spacious building with friendly, helpful pujaris and is situated about 100 meters to the right of the end of Loy Bazaar. It is number 53 on our map. On the central altar are Radha Ananda Manohar. As with so many Nimbaka temples, there is an altar with 𝘒𝘳𝘪𝘴𝘩𝘯𝘢, the Lord's swan incarnation. On our left of him are the 4 Kamas, and on our right, black Nimbaka Acharya. On the third altar are Radha Vrindavan Chandra. When one comes out of the Gopinath temple and walks straight ahead about 250 meters, one comes to the Sonu Gauranga temple. Gaurnatai here were worshipped for some years by Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. This temple is number 54 on our map. Sonu Gauranga means golden Gauranga. When Jagannath Das was living at Suryakund, he requested his disciple Biharidas to install some deities, and these beautiful brass Gaurnatai deities were made. They glistened like gold, and as news of their beauty spread around the district, some dacoits decided to steal them and sell them, thinking they were actually made of gold. They broke into the temple one night and tried to take the deities away, but were unable to lift them, so they fled. The next morning, Jagannath Das found out what had happened and became extremely disturbed. He then arranged for Bihari to donate them to a Goswami family in Vrindavan town. The same family is still worshipping them today. 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘠𝘠 is a very large deity of Lord Chaitanya on his own. He is situated about 100 meters past the Sonu Gauranga temple on the way to Govindaji. This temple is number 55 on our map. He was first worshipped in Bengal many years ago, and around the end of the 19th century, he came to the care of a devotee in the line of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sarvabhauma Madhusudana Goswami, a member of one of the Goswami families of the Radharaman temple in Vrindavan. Later, he was moved from Bengal to Vraja, and for some time was worshipped in a room by the Rasa Mandala in front of the Radharaman temple. But then more recently, he was installed in his own temple here. Just a few meters away from 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘠𝘠, and on the other side of the street, is the Samadhi of the great saint Bilvamangal Thakur, who came to Vrindavan more than 1,000 years ago to do bhajan It is number 56 on our map. Before he became a devotee, 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘥 had a relationship with a prostitute named 𝘚𝘳𝘪. One night, he undertook great difficulty to come to her through a terrible storm, and when he finally arrived, after crossing a river and climbing a tree to reach her, 𝘚𝘳𝘪 saw him and exclaimed, "If you would do as much to serve Kṛṣṇa as you've done to come to me, you'd be a pure devotee by now." It is understood that these words were spoken by his guru from his previous life through 𝘚𝘳𝘪, and when 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘥 heard this, it made such an impact on his heart that he immediately left for Sri Vrindavan Dham. Govinda Kund is the largest kund in Vrindavan town, although at present it is in a neglected condition. It is number 57 on our map. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, "Far to the south of the Govindaji temple is Govinda Kund, the lake of Lord Govinda, the husband of the goddess of fortune. Around this lake are many groves filled with buzzing bees." This is another very peaceful place in Vrindavan town, and it is very nice to chant here by the samadhis of many of the greatest personalities in our line. It is number 58 on our map. Here we find the Nam Samadhi of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Near it is the Nam Samadhi of Lord Nityananda. Behind, there are dozens of samadhis of great devotees. Here there is a path along which are the Nam or Pushpa samadhis of all the 6 Goswamis and some of their closest associates. The Ranganath temple is the largest temple in Vrindavan, although it is a Sri Vaishnava temple, mainly built in a South Indian style, and it has a completely different mood to all the other temples in Vraja. It is number 59 on our map. There are traditional South Indian gopurams over some of the entrances, although the main entrance, which is not far from the old Govindaji temple, is in a North Indian style. Most people come in this way, but then have to take this pathway beside the inner temple walls and walk right around the temple to enter the temple room itself. Until recently, this temple had racial rules and did not allow non-Indians to enter, but now that has changed and anyone can come in. The main deity is Ranganath, in the company of his internal energies, Shri and Bhu. Brahmakund is where the pastime of Lord Brahma stealing the cowherd boys and calves took place. It has recently been renovated and now is a very nice place to visit and spend a little time quietly chanting. It is number 60 on our map. One enters from above the Kund and sees a very nice layout. In the center is the Kund, with a wonderful deity of Lord Brahma performing tapasya and chanting the Vedic literatures while sitting on his lotus flower. Each of his 4 heads has a different mood. Along the walls are deities of Lord Chaitanya with the 6 Goswamis, as well as other great Gaudiya Vaishnava saints like 𝘠𝘮𝑝 Goswami and Lokanath Goswami. The Lal Babu temple is about 100 meters from Brahma Kund. It is a very beautiful temple set in a nice garden and is not visited by so many people. It is number 61 on our map. Lal Babu is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in his Nectar of Devotion. He says, even very recently, about 200 years ago or less, one big landlord known as Lal Babu, a Calcutta landholder, became a Vaishnava and lived in Vrindavan. He was also begging from door to door, even at the homes of his political enemies. Begging involves being ready to be insulted by persons to whose home one has come. That is natural. But one has to tolerate such insults for the sake of Kṛṣṇa. The devotee of Kṛṣṇa can accept any position in the service of the Lord. The Gopal temple is a very large building situated on the road from Lal Babu to the 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘅 Mahadev temple. It is number 62 on our map. Inside the main walls is a separate temple building, in which are nice deities of Srimati Radharani and Lord Gopal. The 𝘠𝘰𝘅 Mahadev temple is a very popular temple of Lord Shiva as a devotee of Kṛṣṇa. Along with Govardhan, Vrindadevi, the Yamuna, and the dust of Vrindavan, he is counted as one of the most merciful people in Vraja. His temple is number 63 on our map. 𝘠𝘰𝘅 is one of the original 5,000-year-old deities of Vrindavan. 𝘠𝘰𝘅 is a standard-looking Shiva Linga and is worshipped as such until the later afternoon. But at that time every day, he's dressed up as a gopi. The story is that Lord Shiva, along with a devotee named Asuri Muni, were interested in witnessing the rasa dance of Lord Kṛṣṇa when the Lord was present in Vrindavan. They tried to approach the Rasa Mandala, but the gopis told them, "You can't come in here. Kṛṣṇa is the only male in the rasa dance. Go away." Purnamasi, who was overseeing the pastimes in Vrindavan, took them to Mansarovar and dipped them in the sacred waters there. To their astonishment, they emerged in gopi forms. However, when they returned to the rasa dance, the gopis would still not allow them in. They asked Lord Shiva, "What is that snake doing around your neck? And what are those scorpions doing? And what are those ashes on your body? They look like the ashes from a cremation ground." 𝘠𝘰𝘅 Shiva was unable to answer them. Purnamasi arrived on the scene and pacified the gopis. She got them to agree to allow 𝘠𝘰𝘅 to act as security on the edge of the rasa dance. Right next to the 𝘗𝘰𝘳𝘢 temple, inside the temple grounds, is the shrine to Purnamasi as Annapurna Devi. 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘥 means the banyan tree, vat, under which Lord Krishna played his flute, or vangsi, to attract the gopis to come and dance with him on the full moon night of the Sharat season. It is number 64 on our map. We go in through 2 gateways and find ourselves in a courtyard next to where that tree was standing. Actually, shortly after Lord Chaitanya visited here 500 years ago, the original tree was washed away in a flood, but devotees found it and took a branch from it and planted it in the same place the original tree had been in. It has now grown to an impressive size. Next to the tree is a small altar with a picture of the rasa dance. The gopis had been tending their children at home or cooking for their families and doing other household chores when they heard the sound of the Lord's flute. They immediately dropped everything and ran to Krishna. Behind the tree is a small temple with these nice Radha Krishna deities. In one corner of the courtyard, we find Srila Vyasadeva sitting chanting, while 𝘉𝘳𝘆𝑒𝑉 Goswami offers him dandavats. In the next corner, we find a Suri Muni chanting japa. In the middle of one wall is Lord Brahma watching everything. Then, in one corner, is Gopeshwar Shiva with his sari on. In the middle of this courtyard is the small display case with the cowherd boys eating lunch just before they were stolen by Lord Brahma. The Radha temple of Gopal Guru Goswami is about 200 meters from the entrance of the Gopeshwar Mahadev temple. It is an ashram in which live a number of mainly elderly Gaudiya Vaishnav Babajis. It is number 65 on our map. We come off the street and enter the temple premises, and then come before the deities for darshan. The main deities are Radha, Radhakanta, Pratibhu forms of the original deities of Gopal Guru Goswami, which are in Jagannath Puri at the Gambhira, where Lord Chaitanya stayed. There's a famous story about how Gopal received the title Guru from Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was on the way to the bathroom, and 5-year-old Gopal saw him holding his tongue between his fingers as he proceeded down the path. Gopal asked him, "My lord, why are you holding your tongue?" Lord Chaitanya replied, "Gopal, I'm on my way to the bathroom, which is a very dirty place. But the holy name of Lord Krishna is non-different from him. So if I chant in the bathroom, he'll be exposed to all the nastiness there. If I could, I would stop chanting. But my problem is that I can't stop, no matter how hard I try. And therefore I'm holding my tongue to avoid that offense." Gopal replied, "Please don't worry, my lord. The time of death is the most contaminated time of all. But Shastra says that at the time of death, we must chant the holy names of the Lord. So therefore, it's all right for you to chant in the bathroom." Lord Chaitanya appeared astonished and said, "Thank you so much, Gopal. You've convinced me. From today on, you're my guru." From that time, Gopal became known as Gopal Guru, and later when he took sannyas, he became known as Gopal Guru Goswami. Srinivasacharya is arguably the leader of the next generation of Gaudiya Vaishnavas after Srila Jiva Goswami, along with Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Pandit. His samadhi is here, at the back of the courtyard, overlooking the altar. It is number 66 on our map. We go in through the entranceway, into the courtyard, and then turn left to have darshan of the deities. There are many deities on the altar here, which have come from other temples. In the middle, beneath the Radha Krishna deities, is Jhula Thakur, the deity of Krishna, personally worshipped by Srinivasacharya himself. Jhula Thakur means the Lord who stays in a bag, and Srinivas would carry him around in a bead bag and massage him as he chanted. At the back of the courtyard are a number of samadhis. This is the samadhi of Srinivasacharya. This is the samadhi of his disciple Ramachandra Kaviraj, and in the corner is the samadhi of Srinivasa's daughter Hemalata Thakurani, who was a great Vaishnav preacher. The area surrounding the Shamroy temple and its grounds is called 𝘸𝘰𝘅 Ghat, which means the bathing ghat which has very pleasant, gentle breezes. They're numbers 67 and 68 on our map. We go in through the main entrance, which is just down from the Gopal Guru temple on the left, and then in front of us we see the main temple room, in which are Radha Shamroy, the personal deities of Gauridas Pandit, one of the very close associates of Lord Chaitanya. Radha Shamroy are the small deities in the front, and they're being nicely worshipped to this day. Outside is the samadhi of Gauridas Pandit. He lived in Ambika Kalna, near Navadvip in West Bengal. One time, Lord Chaitanya went to Gauridas's place after crossing the Ganges from Shantipur by boat. He told the Pandit, "I had gone to Shantipur, and from there I went to the village Harinadi by boat. I crossed the Ganga by rowing the boat with an oar. This is the oar. Take it. I'm giving it to you. With this oar, mankind can cross the ocean of this material world." The 𝘒𝘯𝘂𝑪₀ temple was established in the 15th century by Hari Ram Vyas from Madhya Pradesh. He performed austerities in Kishori Kunj next to Seva Kunj, and then discovered the deities there. It is number 69 on our map. When one comes out of the back gates of the Ranganath temple, one turns left, and this temple is about 50 meters away on the right. One comes in off the street and turns to the right, and then has darshan of the main deities. They're very beautiful and are worshipped very nicely by Ladli Goswami, who is a 27th generation descendant of Hari Ram Vyas. In front of the altar is a deity of baby Krishna in a swing, and devotees can swing him to their heart's content. In 1940, the then king of Madhya Pradesh brought mirrors and glass from Belgium and had them installed on the walls and ceilings of the temple, and therefore it is now well known as the Kanch Mandir, or the Mirror Temple. Behind the temple is the Radha Naam Bank, where devotees are invited to write the name of Srimati Radharani as many times as they can. 𝘕𝘰𝘳𝘐𝘠 is a small park on the eastern side of Vrindavan town. It is said that when Uddhava came to Vrindavan to give the inhabitants different messages from Kṛṣṇa, he imparted some of the messages here. It is number 70 on our map. Jnana means knowledge, and the word 𝘗𝘓 is derived from the Sanskrit word 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝑑𝑖, which means rags. In the letters that Uddhava brought, Kṛṣṇa was trying to pacify the 𝘵𝑗 by telling them that he is present everywhere, so there's no need to worry that he's gone to Mathura. Rather, they can always be with him on the spiritual platform through remembering him. Some of the 𝘵𝑗 took it that Kṛṣṇa was trying to preach jnana to them and somehow cheat them of his personal association. So they tore the letters, which were written on cloth, into rags and threw them into the Yamuna here. Therefore the place is known traditionally as Jnana-Gundaadi, the place where the jnana was torn into rags. The Brajamohan temple is immediately across the road from Jnana-Gundaadi on the eastern side. It is a pleasant little temple with very friendly devotees running it who know Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON very well. It is number 71 on our map. We come inside from the road into the temple courtyard and then find the deities on the altar to our left. Radha Vraja Mohan are very attractive forms of Radha and Kṛṣṇa, and they are worshipped with great devotion by the devotees here. They were installed by Srila Narottam Das Thakur during the first Gaur Purnima festival held in Kaituri in current-day Bangladesh. This took place approximately 30 years after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a large, attractively built temple, established in about 1870 by the Queen of Ṭekāri, a city near Gaya in Bihar. It is number 72 on our map. When she came on pilgrimage to Vrindavan, her party was attacked by Muslim dacoits on the eastern side of the Yamuna. She was forced to flee from them with her Gopal deity and swam across the Yamuna, which at that time was flowing right past where the front door of the temple is now. When she came to the western side, she vowed to build a temple right at the place she landed, and this is the temple we see today. On the main altar are her deities, Radha, Rajendra, Sakha. The pujaris keep some rather unusual paraphernalia on the altar for their pleasure, as you can see here. This is a temple of Ramanandi Vaishnavas, a branch of the Sri Sampradaya, who particularly focus on the worship of Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman. It is number 73 on our map. we go in through the main entrance to find the arti going on, with the traditional bells and gongs that are played at this time in so many temples in Vraja. On one side, we find this amazing little machine which is assisting the arti sound effects. Sita, Ram, Lakshman and Hanuman are very beautiful. The temple was established not long ago by a devotee named Sudama, and to the right of the main altar we find a deity of him. The 𝘚𝘳𝘪 temple is connected with the famous North Indian devotee 𝘚𝘳𝘪, who lived from about 1532 to 1623, just shortly after the time of Lord Chaitanya. This temple is number 74 on our map. We come in off the street near 𝘗𝘰𝘇 and go in through the main entrance and hall for darshan. There are small Radha Krishna deities here, as the temple was previously dedicated to them. But 𝘚𝘳𝘪 was a Ram Bhakta, and when he came before the deities here, he said, "Your heavenly beauty is overwhelming, Lord Krishna. However, this 𝘚𝘳𝘪 will not bow down to you unless he sees you take the bow and arrows in your hands." It is said that then Lord Ramachandra appeared before him. After that, the devotees here installed a large deity of Ram, who is still standing behind Radha and Krishna. In the temple, there is a nice deity of 𝘚𝘳𝘪. There are a number of temples in the Vrindavan area which have Lord Jagannath on the altar, either alone or with Baladev and Subhadra Devi. But this is certainly the biggest, in which they are the main deities. It is number 75 on our map. One goes in through the main entrance and across a large courtyard where prasadam distribution is often done to have darshan of the deities. The Katyayani temple is a general Hindu temple, not connected with the Vaishnav history and culture of Sri Vrindavan Dham. But despite that, it is quite popular. It is number 76 on our map. Here they perform Panchapasana worship of the 5 deities, Durga or Katyayani, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesh and Surya, as is typical for many people who are coming in the impersonal tradition. It was opened in 1923 and is very much in the mode of worship of Durga Devi. This temple is not connected with the pastime of the gopis worshipping Katyayani Devi to get Krishna as their husband, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, That place is some distance north of Vrindavan, on the banks of the Yamuna. For anyone looking for a quiet, beautiful place to relax and chant japa in Vrindavan town, this is the ideal spot. It is a large garden and is fairly well maintained, and one can easily find quiet places to sit and chant the holy names without being disturbed. It is number 77 on our map. 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘐 is now some distance from where the Yamuna flows, although previously it used to be on the river's banks. It is number 78 on our map. Once the gopis asked Kṛṣṇa, "To whom should charity be given?" Kṛṣṇa replied, "To 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝘅, who lives on the other side of the Yamuna." The gopis asked, "How will we cross the Yamuna?" Kṛṣṇa said, "Just say the words, Kṛṣṇa is the topmost brahmachari, and the Yamuna will give you a path." The gopis couldn't believe that, but they tried anyway, and to their surprise the Yamuna's waters parted, and they crossed and arrived in the ashram of 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝘅. There they fed him a huge feast of all types of rich and tasty prasadam, and he gave them his blessings. After that they were preparing to return home, but the gopis became disturbed. "How will we cross the Yamuna?" 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝘅 replied, "Just meditate on me as a sage who eats only 𝘠𝘪𝑚 grass, and the Yamuna will give you a path." Srimati Radharani asked 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝘅, "Kṛṣṇa is always pursuing us for conjugal pastimes, so how can he be a brahmachari? And you just ate a big feast. How could it be that you only eat 𝘠𝘪𝑚 grass?" 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝑅 answered the question about himself first. He said, "I'm spirit. How can I be a materialistic enjoyer? It is just the mind that remains among the senses and accepts the sense objects, not the soul." After explaining that he is a spirit soul, aloof from activities like eating, 𝘸𝘰𝘳𝑅 then responded to the gopis' first question regarding Kṛṣṇa, who they took to be a lusty young boy. He said, "How can Kṛṣṇa become a materialistic enjoyer? He who possesses a material body and desires material pleasure is lusty. Kṛṣṇa, who is free from birth and death, who stays in the Vedic scriptures and is glorified in all of them, has no such material body, and therefore he cannot be lusty." When Srimati Radharani and the gopis heard these and other instructions about Kṛṣṇa from 𝘸𝑰𝘳𝑅 Muni, they were satisfied, and when they meditated on him as a sage who only eats 𝘠𝘪𝑚 grass, the Yamuna parted again here at 𝘠𝘰𝘳𝘐, and they returned home. Lord Kṛṣṇa once told the gopis that he is the source of all avatars and incarnations, which they objected to very strongly. In order to give them proof, he manifested his form as Adi Badrinath here. It is number 79 on our map. It is also said that Srila Vyasadeva wrote the 10th canto of 𝑠్રીમદ Bhagavatam here. As we move around the area, we come across a temple of Adi Badri Narayan with an old deity of Badri Narayan in it. At Rajghat, Lord Krishna disguised himself as a boatman in order to meet with Srimati Radharani and the gopis who were trying to cross the Yamuna to sell their dairy products in a nearby market. It is number 80 on our map. There were no other boats available, so Krishna bargained with the gopis, requesting a very high price. But he told them he was asking so much because he offered a special service to all his clients. He always washed the feet of everyone he took on his boat. The gopis were impressed with this and agreed to come on his boat. As they moved across the Yamuna, Krishna requested a prepayment in the form of butter, which they supplied him. But feeling the bhakti in their butter, the Lord became overwhelmed and collapsed in the bottom of the boat. Chaitanya Vishram Stali is actually within the Rajghat area. It means the place where Lord Chaitanya took rest. It is number 81 on our map. When Lord Chaitanya was doing Vrindavan Parikrama, he stopped here, and now the devotees have constructed a shrine dedicated to the Lord's visit. If one goes in the gates and turns to the left, one finds this very nice shrine, within which is this deity of Lord Chaitanya. The Bhattaran Bihari temple is where Lord Krishna ate after one of his important pastimes, the deliverance of the wives of the ceremonial Brahmins, which is described in the 23rd chapter of the 10th canto of �ശ്രീമദ് Bhagavatam. It is number 82 on our map. The temple is on a raised piece of ground, so we go up and have a look around the surrounding Braj Mandala. After the pastime of the stealing of the gopis' clothes, some of the young cowherd boys were feeling very hungry and asked Krishna where they could find something to eat. Krishna told them to request some nearby Brahmins in his and Balaram's names, but the Brahmins refused. Krishna then told the boys to ask the Brahmins' wives, and when they did so, the ladies were happy to give prasadam. The Brahmins' wives came out to meet Krishna with conjugal feelings rising in their hearts. But Krishna told them to go home and serve their husbands, as he did with the gopis when they came to him at Vamsivat. However, whereas the gopis refused to go back, the Brahmins' wives, who were not as advanced in attachment for Krishna as the gopis, accepted what Krishna said and returned home. Krishna then sat down with the cowherd boys and enjoyed the sumptuous prasadam with them at this place, and therefore it is also known as Bhojan Stali, or the eating place. Near Bhattaran Bihari is a 𝘠𝘯𝑟𝑎, where a 𝘠𝑚𝑟𝑎 stopped to take bath while taking Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balaram out of Vrindavan on the way to the wrestling match in Mathura. Nowadays, it is some distance from the Yamuna. It is number 83 on our map. First, Kṛṣṇa and Balaram bathed here, and then, when they had returned to sit in the chariot, a 𝘠𝑚𝑟𝑎 took permission from them to take bath. He was standing half submerged in the Yamuna, chanting Gayatri, when he suddenly saw Kṛṣṇa and Balaram in the water again. Surprised, he came out of the water, but then saw that they were still seated in the chariot. On the main altar we find nice deities of Kṛṣṇa on our left, a 𝘠𝑚𝑟𝑎 in the center, and Lord Balaram on our right. Here there's also the place where Lord Kṛṣṇa revealed the spiritual world to the Brij-Vasis, as described in the 28th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We pray for the mercy of Sri Vrindavan Dham, so our attempt at glorification is appropriate. May the Dham and Srimati Radharani and Lord Kṛṣṇa shower their mercy on all our audience. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says in the last verses of Vrindavan Mahimamrita, the people who live in this world are mostly fools. Even if they've studied all the scriptures, they generally have no knowledge of beautiful Vrindavan's glories. Even philosophers who foolishly travel on the pathways of trying to separate the truth from lies become bewildered and cannot find the truth. That is why I serve the dust of Sri Vrindavan. Vrindavan, forest filled with the sweetest nectar, forest that contains the great treasure of spiritual love, witness of Sri Sri Radha Krishna's amorous pastimes, forest so dear to me, master of the rasa dance, enchanter of the worlds, wonderful with flowering vines, birds, and a host of beautiful creatures. O beautiful Vrindavan, far beyond the world of matter, you are the goal of my life. You are my goal. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that stays in Vrindavan. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that wanders in Vrindavan. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that is the life of Vrindavan. Obeisances to the hero and heroine of Vrindavan. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that is merciful to Vrindavan. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that is the transcendental nectar of Vrindavan. Obeisances to the beautiful couple that is the perfection of Vrindavan. No place is more exalted than Vrindavan forest. No person is more lowly than me. It is only by the power of Sri Radha's holy name that we have met. May the all-wonderful, limitlessly powerful, and supremely auspicious holy name of Vrindavan's Queen once be glorious in my mouth.